Blumhouse Fantasy Island brings a group of young people to a deserted, tropical island where they get the opportunity to live out their greatest fantasies, but fantasies, they soon learn, are not all they appear by the film's ending. Based on the 70s and 80s television series of the same name, Fantasy Island is equal parts horror story and cautionary tale about regret and unfulfilled desire. With a talented cast of young actors that include Lucy Hale, Maggie Q, Portia Doubleday, Jimmy O. Young, and Michael Pena as Mr. Rourke, Fantasy Island taps into a luxurious, tropical setting that holds an air of mystery and danger from the first frame. Similarly to the TV series, which ran on ABC from 1977 to 1984, Mr. Rourke is the facilitator of the island's magic and must connect his guests with their fantasies. However, once the fantasy begins, they must see it out to its natural conclusion. The PG-13 horror movie has a lot to say about yielding to the heart's deepest desires, but with an underlying message of be careful what you wish for. While it's not the most critically acclaimed Blumhouse horror, the Fantasy Island ending served the movie's purpose well, carrying the plot through to become a satisfactory introduction to the horror genre for younger viewers. Fantasy Island's ending explained. Melanie was behind the deadly turn Fantasy Island took. Michael Pena in Fantasy Island. While the Fantasy Island ending is somewhat predictable, it's still a satisfying conclusion to the story, especially given the PG-13 rating, which means it can be forgiven for its somewhat by-the-numbers plot since the target audience are likely not as familiar with the tropes of the horror genre. After the contest winners arrive at the island, their fantasies start coming true. Each of them has filled out a questionnaire that allows Rourke, the island's facilitator and benefactor, to tailor a completely vivid fantasy to their own, unique desires down to the last detail. However, his ominous warning comes into play when their fantasies start to become twisted and go in unexpected and even deadly directions. Melanie, Hale, who originally operates the guise of someone who wishes to get revenge on a childhood bully, is revealed to have orchestrated everyone's arrival on Fantasy Island. A few years prior, Melanie's crush, Nick Taylor, ended up burning alive in an apartment fire that was accidentally set by Gwen, Q, and everyone else inadvertently had a hand in his death. Melanie's justification for wanting revenge goes beyond her actions on Sloane, Doubleday, and is rooted in the fact that, due to being bullied, she was never able to grow up with confidence. Nick was the first person who made her feel like she was special and worthy, and after he stood her up on their first date, she started to second-guess herself only to find out that he was killed in a fire. Likely, he wouldn't have stood her up at all. Rourke ends up saving the day and intervenes, allowing his guests to avoid their deaths. Rourke's benevolence doesn't come without a cost, though, as all the island's fantasies seem to do, a true cautionary tale at its core, there are always strings attached, and every action must have a consequence. Rourke made a deal with the island that he would stay there forever and do its bidding, so long as it kept his wife, Julia, alive. Julia ends up going through loops of health followed by sickness, and repeating this pattern, Rourke decides to let her go, and disobeys the island to save his guests, which results in him losing Julia forever.